Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth. My pronouns are she, her. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. This is Savory Sewing, a Flosstube channel where I talk about cross stitch, sometimes other sewing projects, and other things that I like. Today is Sunday, September 3rd, 2023, and this is Flosstube number 4. Today I have a bunch of stuff to show you and some other things to chat about, but before I get started, I have something to correct from my last video, which uh, maybe folks didn't notice one or don't care, but I feel obligated as a plant scientist to correct myself when I make errors. I had talked about starting the Greenhouse of Oddities sale, which is no longer a sale because it's finished. I just didn't stitch along with everybody else. And I was thinking about starting this this month or, soon because it's super awesome. And I made a comment about how I wanted to stitch George Darwin, Charles Darwin. And I said something about, Darwin and his peas. And then I thought about it later and I was like, Darwin didn't do anything with peas. Gregor Mendel, the father of Mendelian genetics, is the guy who did the experiments with the peas, which quite frankly, he would have been a great choice to put in the Greenhouse of Oddities because he was making crosses and, he was doing genetic experiments with peas and he would be a good, creepy person to have in your greenhouse. I'm sure he was a very nice monk, but anyway, I digress. Charles Darwin did not do experiments with peas and genetics. Charles Darwin, you probably know, was also very famous in terms of, on the origin of species, Galapagos Islands, the finches. His little known work, I think, in the grand scheme of things, is what he did. He and his son did some experiments where they discovered phototropism, which is why, plants growing towards the light, basically. There's lots of different tropisms. You've got phototropism to the light. Gravitropism is how shoots know to go up and roots know to go down. Bigmatropism, plants respond to touch. So there's a lot of those things. So anyway, he and his son wrote a book called I think it's called The Power of the Movement of Plants, which epic title for a book. I've gotten back and read it because once upon a time, I think I actually taught intro biofolk kids, they were college students, but kids, about phototropism. And so I was then kicking myself extra because I was like, Elizabeth, you've taught this before, and yet you forgot this key thing. Anyway, neither here nor there in the grand scheme of things, but I couldn't let the record go uncorrected that I mixed up George, George. I keep saying George, Gregor Mendel, and Charles Darwin. Very different folks, very different contributions to our understanding of plants in the natural world. Anyway, y'all probably didn't care, but thank you for the indulgence. I also had a request for some more Journey. So Journey is my black lab puppy. He did not make an appearance in any videos in the last, or any pictures in the last video. So here are some photos now for my Journey fans. Here he is looking cute with his hedgie. This is his favorite toy. Cute picture of him napping in his favorite chair. I actually hate this chair. I've been trying to get my partner to get rid of it for as long as we've known each other. However, it turns out it's Journey's favorite chair to nap in, which means we will never be able to get rid of it now, unfortunately. And he does look very cute napping in it. So there is that. And then today, in addition to being, this is like the Labor Day holiday long weekend here in the US, it's also the first day of Oregon State Beaver football season. So Journey is wearing his best Beaver bandana to support the team. And my partner is off somewhere watching the game. Which is why I get to film this Flosstube, because there's now football and I will be a football widow for the next 6 months for between college and professional, neither of which I care anything about and my partner cares very much about. So more time for cross stitching and filming Flosstube. So positive, whatever. Anyway, Journey looks cute in his bandana, and here he is. I like to think in this picture, he's like, please, please, please let the Beavs win, which is what I also say because I jokingly call the Beaver football score my partner's mood meter. And the higher the Beaver score is and the lower the other score is, the happier he is. So everybody wants a happy partner, right? So anyway, go Beavs. So with all of that rambling, if you stuck with me this long, let's talk about some stitching. So I decided that I keep stats every month, and so I thought what I would do is if a floss tube, falls around the first of a month, I might talk about the stats for the previous month, just as a way of keeping records. And so in August, I'll pull out my notes here. I only had 3 new starts, which I think I've shown 2 of them on Flosstube already. I'll show the third today. I worked on, this says 13 different projects, but I think technically it's 14 now, but maybe 13 different projects, which is pretty good. I had 6 fully finished items. And so here's a picture that I posted on Instagram of my 6 FFOs. I think I've shown all of these except for one, which I'll show in a couple minutes. I had 2 finishes. One I showed in my last floss tube, one I'll show today. And I stitched 29 out of 31 days. So pretty good month, I think, for stitching. Stitching most days of the month is pretty normal for what I do, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. I try to get some stitches in, or at least something crafty every day. So I'm going to show my fully finished items next. So you saw a photo of one, so I think you know what's coming if you were looking. But I had stitched this pattern. So this is Stitchin' Witches from Teresa Kogut. This was her August 2022 Patreon chart. Up close because it's super cute. And you can see these adorable little witches. They're doing some stitching, hanging out with the cauldron. And I turned it into a project bag. I just put it, ironed it to some interfacing, put a couple strips of fabric around it, added a zipper. It's pretty cute. I didn't want to frame it or, make a flat fold or anything. In this way, I can enjoy the stitching, and I always can use another Halloween themed project bag for my many, many Halloween themed projects. So my last FFO of August was this pattern, Stitchin' Witches. And I think the only way to get this one right now is if you are a member of her Patreon. She has a secret shop, and I'm pretty sure this is in it. I don't think I've seen this pattern released yet. I'm going to fake smile here. Maybe this will be my screenshot. Sorry. And then I rolled my eyes because YouTube is weird. Okay, so next FFO, sorry, they're down here in a pile. So this is a little pattern that I stitched and finished earlier this year. I turned it into this little pillow. This is Blackbirds on a Pumpkin by Rosewood Manor. This was in a Just Cross Stitch magazine. I'm not sure if it was in a Halloween issue or if it was in like the October issue. Last year, I think. And I did not stitch this, I don't think, with any of the called for. I want to say it's called for in like Gentle Arts, and I don't think I didn't have any of them. And so I just picked similar colors, and it's stitched on a Lugana from Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, which is super cute. And then I just finished it into a little pillow and put some fabric on the back, made a little patch to cover the hole, and yeah, it's filled with walnut shells. I finally found some crushed walnut shells at a quilt shop in Sisters, and so I had a little pillow making party to test out how I like them, and I like them. These are nice sturdy little pillow. I feel like you could play some cornhole with this and it would be perfect. Yeah, and then I have a second little pillow. So that was one FFO. And then because I was making pillows, and this was also a project I had finished that was in my pile, I turned this into a little pillow as well. And so this is a free pattern from Pentini. This is, I think you can either get it on her Instagram or it's on her website, and it says, please enter your pin, which I think is kind of clever. And I just made it a little bit longer, and then again, same back finish. I just used some fusible, basically Wonder Under, and made like a little patch. And then, yeah. And this is stitched on 32 count vintage Rose Lugana, and none of these are the called. I actually don't even know if they were called. Maybe it was called for in DMC, and I just picked things. And this is a really pretty classic Colorworks variegated called Desert Mesquite. I thought it turned out really nice in that spool, which is just long stitches to look like thread. So yeah, so those are my FFOs for the last week. I had a little pillow making party. I made a couple other project bags, which you'll see, I think later when I pull out maybe those projects and plans. Just was in the mood to sew some things. I'm not always in the mood to sew. But when the mood strikes, I try to get some things done. So I made a few project bags. I made those pillows, and I made some little thread keeps, or thread beds. All right. So next, let's see. I did finishes. Oh, let's look at finishes. So I only finished one thing in the last couple weeks. I should have finished two. I have a secret whip that needs to be finished so it can be gifted, and it is still not finished. And I've got a deadline coming up, so I will be working on that later today. But the one thing I did finish was from this pattern. So this is Purple Pumpkin Pinkeeps, and this is ScissorTail Designs. I stitched this one, and I did not make it into a pinkeep. It is almost a fully finished object. Here it is. Actually, it goes this way. I mean, it's symmetrical, or it's symmetrical, I guess. So it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, super cute. This is Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers in Queen Crepe Myrtle, and I don't think any of the colors are called for, except that they're in the spirit of the pattern in terms of being purples and greens. The border is DMC, Colaris, and Heather. It's really pretty purple, green variegated. And then the dark purple pumpkins are Classic Colorworks, Rainy Day, and the pumpkins that look white are actually Classic Colorworks Amethyst, which is a really pale lavender. And then everything else is DMC. And then it's an almost FFO because I turned it into this, as you can see, this little needle book. But I don't have any felt right now to turn it to have like the needle pages in it. So it is 99% there, because if once I get the felt and cut it into a shape, I will stitch one seam down the middle to like secure the pages, and then it will be done. But so it's almost an FFO. And I finished it. It was a really quick finish. This is a really quick stitch. It is sewing mood, and so I made this little guy this week. All right. So in terms of whips, I think I only have 5 or 6. I don't have very many things I worked on. But I did work on my Dark Queen. I try to work on my Dark Queen every Saturday. And so I got a couple hours or so in on her yesterday when I was watching Flosstubes, as the kids, do the kids say that? I don't know. All I got done, I got this flower stitched. And that was it. So I added some, you can kind of see the sparkle. I think that the center of the flower was supposed to just be in 3865, but I decided I wanted it to be sparkly. So I used the sparkly thread. So here's a full shot of her still headless, and with one flower. So I will continue to work on her for a bit every Saturday until she is done, which hopefully my goal is the end of the year, but I got a lot of Halloween stuff I want to stitch, and then Christmas stitching will start. And I don't know if that's realistic, but we're gonna give her the old college try. So anyway, you will see her every Flosstube because she is going to get hopefully she will get touched. I'm telling you, she will get touched every week until she is done. And any progress is good progress. So put her away. Oh, I forgot about. Sorry, I just looked in this bag and remembered there's something I want to show you when I get to the whole section that I did not put on my list. So anyway, next thing that I worked on this month. So we went to Utah 2 weeks ago. Last week of like the 24th, 25th. And so I had taken some projects that I thought would be good for travel. And so that's the other reason why I haven't worked on a ton of things, is because we went away. And so I only had, what I took with me. And so one thing that I had taken was this. This is Stitcher's Grimoire. I'll put a picture in of what it's going to look like. This is from the Witchy Stitchers Patreon. And I took this because I was just stitching it all in one color. And it, it's nice to stitch just black. And this is Lugana. So this is stitched on. Now I'm questioning what this is stitched on, because I thought this was Autumnal Orchard from Fiberlicious. Now I don't think it is. Because that, it's Alice's Garden. That's what it is. It's Alice's Garden. This is on Autumnal Orchard. Anyway, and so this is where I am. I think I finished the words and then stitched the moons up at the top and started working my way over here. And so I really like this. And I really like this dirty, grungy fabric that it's on. Can't wait to get started on the other little characters. I wanted to get all that black on the top done before I started doing the more fun bits. Next, I worked on a project from Hello from Liz Mathews. One of her Halloween pieces. This is the pattern page. This is Two Pumpkins Bright. I really like those funky little pumpkins. They're very cute. And this is where I am. So I have the pumpkins done and the little pumpkin basket and the bits in the bottom. Is that the right corner? Left corner. And then the border, I'm working my way around. So my goal is to get this finished this month, actually, which shouldn't be too hard because I just need to finish these little pennants on the bottom. There's matching pennants on the top. And then the rest is, honestly, it's counting. It's a lot of I'll show you. This is, not a ton of stitches there, but there's a lot of counting to do. And then a lot of back stitch for those little spiders, which are super cute. And then the spider web in the bottom. So this is Two Pumpkins Bright. Hello from Liz Mathews. It's stitched with, I believe, all the called for colors, which is, I think it's mostly Classic Colorworks and DMC. And this is Winter Woolens by Seraphim Fabric. And I think it's either a 40 count or a 36 count. So this is a little guy. And so hopefully I should be able to get it done this month. It's not a ton of stitching. So there's that. Yeah, it's actually all Classic Colorworks, no DMC. It's a nice little pattern. All right. Next, I worked on... I feel like I worked on more things than what's on my list, but I guess I really didn't. So I pulled this out on September 1st. I thought about starting another big project for the hashtag BAP to school sale or, Sampler September. Don't have a ton of samplers. I'm not a big sampler stitcher. I don't have any reproductions, I don't think, that I know of. They're just not my style, but this one I really love. And actually I should pull the pattern out. I'm going to pull out the pattern book because I have it. And this is Teresa Kogut's Come to the Garden. It's really beautiful. And so I decided I would stitch on this a couple days for Sampler September. And I think it also counts as a big ass project. It's 225 by 295, which at least to me is a pretty big project. And so this is where I am. I'm working in the bottom right corner, and I put the and shall in on Friday night and worked on some of the red. I was working on anything that was in that dark red, which is Manor Red by Classic Colorworks. I'm stitching this with, I think, all of the called for, and this is 40 count. No, this is 36 count affogato from fiber on a whim. It's really pretty. I'm really excited. I really want to finish. My goal for September is this is all a big blue basket of flowers. I'd really like to finish the blue basket and then get the words all done. And then I'll start pulling the border across the bottom. So we'll see. I think it's doable. I work on this a couple days this month. So that is Come to the Garden by Teresa Kogut. I also have 2 more whips that are both new starts. The first is in my Stitch and Witches project bag. So it is already in the rotation. The project is from this book. This is 13 Spooky Smalls from Primrose Cottage Stitches. And I am stitching this one. It's called Come We Fly. It's this little Hocus Pocus themed with the vacuum cleaner. And I'm stitching it because that purple vacuum cleaner is awesome. And I'm stitching it. This is an ornament cut from Under the Sea Fabrics. It's called Autumn. This is Jobelin. And I'm stitching it with the called for DMC, except I subbed 310 and I think it's 208. The dark purple of the vacuum for a variegated by hand dyed by Rolanda. Hopefully you can see how awesome that variegated purple looks. So these are the flosses. These are on drops because they came as spools. So last year I had purchased hand dyed by Rolanda's Halloween. Let's see, what does she call it? Limited edition Halloween floss. And so here are the other colors that came with it. I haven't used these for anything yet. But here are the other 4. There's this really bright orange. This one is orange, purple, and black and purple. And then this one is purple, black. Actually, there's no black in this. This is purple, orange, and green. And so you can see they're a nice little combination of colors right there that all kind of go together. Really, really nice, really nice. So I'm excited to stitch some more Halloween smalls this year I have a little tiny Halloween tree, which has like, I don't know, 6 or 10 ornaments on it. If I can find a picture from last year, I'll put it in. But yeah, these are super cute little small patterns. I'm going to stitch this one next, the Hocus Pocus one, and make another little ornament out of it, I think. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. The other new start I have is from, I'll put a picture in. So I had mentioned we went to Utah. I got to go shopping at Shepards Bush and I bought this kit and I started it immediately. This is witching season. And here's where I am. I got quite a bit done. There's not too much left. I just really like these big funky flowers and this little house and this cute little witch. I like all of it. I will say one thing I did not realize in going to Shepards Bush is that all of their kits are kitted with Weeks Dye Works, which I generally don't stitch with. I wasn't aware of that till I already bought everything and got it back to my hotel room. And I was just like, well, what am I going to do with this? So I started it. You live and you learn. I don't know. I didn't really think about it, and maybe I wasn't as educated of a consumer as I should have been. But just so you know, like the kits it does seem like they're all weeks. And which is disappointing because that is why one of the things I had on my list that I wanted to buy when I was there, because I've seen so many other folks say such nice things about them and stitch them because they are really great little kits, right? They come with all the floss, the finishing fabric. This is Lady Dot Creates Chenille. There's buttons. And so that was kind of a bummer, but you live and you learn, and it will be a more educated consumer going forward. The other things that I bought, I think I'm going to move into haul right now and show you some pictures of Shepards Bush and some of the things I was enabled to buy while I was there. One being that small kit. I also, when you first walk in to the store, they have a big tree, a Halloween tree. I'm going to look at the photos on my phone while I talk to you so I can describe what I'm seeing, and then I'll put a photo in here for you all to look at. Just covered in Halloween ornaments. Just really lovely. So many cute things. I resisted the urge to buy any more of those smalls because I know I have a lot of small Halloween patterns between that book I just showed you and all the Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazines. I have plenty of sources for smalls. I didn't need to buy any more patterns. So I was a good kid on that front. However, I wasn't really that good overall. Here's another photo of a display that was just absolutely gorgeous. And I did buy one of the patterns in here, where did it go? Oh, there it is. So I've seen a lot of these folks stitch these Cricut collection months. And I have to say, like, I was kind of meh about them. And I know it's cliched in the cross stitch world that, they look so much different in person. And I was 100% enabled by this model in the shop. So much so that I bought the silk for the letters. And I don't think I'm going to put my picture back here. If I didn't take it down, you can see how beautiful the letters are. So I decided I would buy the silk because I felt like that was like kind of the most bang for your buck in terms of making this look as gorgeous as it did in the store. The rest of it is chartered in DMC and various overdyes, which I either have or I can figure out. I bought a piece of the fabric. This is Ale by Picture This Plus. I would say Shepards Bush are excellent enablers because literally right next to the finished piece, they have the fabric already cut with the name of the pattern on it. So you can just pick it up, and it's brilliant, but also like dangerous. And I also got the buttons because buttons are expensive, folks. Anyway, and that was my first enabling by the displays. And I will also say I went in there with no plan. Except to, spend some money. And I think I did a good job given that I could have probably spent 3 times what I did. So I'm going to show you this next photo of another display that they had. And I fell absolutely in love with this piece here in the middle of this. This is All Hallows Eve sampler by Joan Elliot. I don't know. I just love it. So I immediately bought it. I just bought the pattern. Here, I'm going to show you the pattern real quick. The pattern's actually charted on green. This is Taboo from Pole Stitches Designs. I'm going to also stitch it on purple, but I was moderately responsible and already had a purple in my stash that I was pretty sure would work. So I'm going to stitch it on this. This is Heather by Fiber on a Whim. I already had a piece in my stash that is the right size, so even better. The only thing I haven't sorted is the thread. I could just stitch it in DMC. It doesn't need like 9 skeins. I'd like to stitch it in overdyes. So I'm going to be auditioning some black overdyes to see if I can find something that I like with that fabric. I was thinking Vampish from Roxy Fosco because I know that's their black purple, but they are currently sold out, or they were last week when I looked. So I will be waiting till that comes back in stock and then buying a few of those, a few of their variegated blacks. I also ordered some from Forbidden Fiber Co. to see. I've been stitching a lot of things with Forbidden Fiber Co. Raven lately, which I could use. I think it would look fine, but I kind of just want to see what the rest of them look like. So there's that. I think, yeah, those are the 2 big things I bought from Shepards Bush. I got a few other small patterns, but I think that's enough Shepards Bush haul for my comfort level. Actually, I'm going to show you one more thing. I lied. I bought this ridiculous little scissor fob. This is Lady Dot Creates Halloween themed fob. It's got a little, look at that haunted house. How cute is that? And these purple scissors because I couldn't resist. And overall, it was really nice to see Shepards Bush. I've only been to a few LNSs in my short stitching career. So it was nice to see another one. I love that it was decked out for Halloween. I'm actually going to throw a couple more photos in here of some of the Halloween themed pieces. They had like every Halloween prairie schooler, I think, stitched on beautiful fabric. So here's, this is all Hallows Eve on this gorgeous purple. Here is, I think this one's called Trick or Treat, and they've got it stitched on in green. I think I took one more. Oh, they also had some of them on big count fabric and turned them into these lovely pillows, which I thought was super cool. I'd never seen that before. Apparently, Shepherd's Bush does that with a lot of prairie schoolers because they also had the Santas that way, but it's something I'd never seen before. I also really loved this Quaker this is by the Heart, from the Heart Needle Arts. I love a good Halloween Quaker, so I thought that one was super cute. And oh, this pillow. I think this is Plum Street, if I remember correctly. I didn't look at the pattern or see the pattern, but someone else who was in the shop when I was there was kitting this up. And it says Eat Crow on the bottom, and it's got this big vulture on top, and it's just adorable and hilarious. If I didn't know that it wasn't Lindy Stitches, it strikes me as like a good Lindy Stitches bird, but I think it was Plum Street. Anyway, also, here, ridiculous selfie of me in front of Shepherd's Bush because, proof. If the haul wasn't proof enough, ridiculous photos count too. So, all right, so that was all my Shepherd's Bush haul. Next, I got my fabric of the month from Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. This is called, I think it's pronounced Dimas, the Setting Sun. And I also put a photo up of their Instagram post with these pictures, with what the fabric looks like, because it looks different on the linen, and I really like the way it looks on the linen. I don't dislike this, but I really like this, so I'm kind of hoping that she ends up with some extra pieces in her shop, because that does happen sometimes, because I would snatch up some of that in a heartbeat. I have no plans for what to stitch on it, but it's pretty. Okay, so last thing that I purchased were a few of these from Bags Plus. So if you all watch, which I'm sure you do, Michelle Bendy Stitchy or Rachel Ray, I think it's Rachel Ray Fiber Arts is where she's moved her cross-stitching stuff to. They talk about these Bags Plus bags a lot. Rachel Ray just showed a gigantic one that holds, I don't know, about like 80 bobbins, maybe I'm exaggerating, on her last floss tube. And then these are actually Bendy flips named after Michelle Bendy. So the person who runs this just recently moved to Washington, so shipping is much more fast and reasonable than when they lived in somewhere in Europe. I'm not even sure where. And they just put a bunch of Halloween fabric in. So I picked up a few of these. I picked up 2 little flips. This one doesn't have anything, isn't being used yet. And then this one, and then a bigger one. And I got these 2 matching because they're now living with the Dark Queen. There's a lot of floss in the Dark Queen, and this fabric is very cute. Look at those little witches and those little owls. I could not resist. So those were new acquisitions, and I'm very excited about them. I think that is all of my haul, and now we are going to move on to plans. So first off, this is my plan list for September. I just made a template that has the list of the whips that I want to work on, some things my finish goals, my FFO goals, and any new starts that I have planned for the month. And I mostly keep to these, but also things change, squirrels happen. There are no hard and fast rules in cross stitch. So I am going to be working, as I think some of the things I've already shown you. I'm working on Come to the Garden as part of Sampler September. I am going to be working on my Dark Queen every Saturday. I'm going to be pulling out this project. Allie Z is Crafty started a hashtag, which is Owl Forest Friday, I believe. If that's not correct, I will put it on the bottom of the screen. and they are stitching 100 Owls, which, if you've watched my very first Flosstube, is my favorite cross stitch finish of all time. And I have one more Owl Forest pattern in my stash that I haven't finished, and it's currently on my potential unfinished UFO list. So I decided that I'm going to stitch on it at least one Friday a month for the next 3 months. And if I still don't want to finish it, I will officially UFO it. But I'm going to put a picture in here. It's called Autumn Flowers. It is really pretty. And I also bought the variegated floss, which I'm going to show you a couple of the skeins because it is really, like, the variegation is so good. So, I mean, look at that. It's really, really beautiful. This one also, I feel like this is like the pastel version or the muted version of this one. And then this purple is also really, really beautiful. I'm stitching it on, this is Ada. I think this is 16 count Ada. This is from Mystic Fibers, and it is called Please Scream Inside Your Heart. And this is where I am. Not very far. I think this is the halfway point, maybe. I don't remember. Anyway, I really like it. And I really like the floss. I don't pull it out very often, and I should. So that's why I've made the goal. One Friday a month, next 3 months, I'm going to participate in the hashtag and not just sit and stitch alone by myself and never talk about it, which is what I've done for the last 3 years until I decided to actually make a floss tube. And if I don't like it, then the floss will definitely get used for something else because it's gorgeous. This fabric is also beautiful. And also, if you don't know where Please Scream Inside Your Heart came from, during the pandemic, I believe it was a Japanese amusement park, asked folks, instead of screaming out loud and potentially spreading COVID, to scream inside their hearts, which, so good. So glad that this fabric exists. I don't know if they still dye it, but it is actually, it's really beautiful, and the name is hilarious. So there it is that. So that is a plan. I'm also going to work on my poisonous plants from the Witchy Stitcher. Here is a picture of the pattern. It looks like I have set up a randomly garden themed month for myself. I want to finish that witching season piece I just showed you. I want to finish 2 Pumpkins Bright, which I just showed you. I have 2 things that I want to FFO. I bought frames for them. They're Halloween themed. Hopefully you'll see them in the next video. And then I want to start a few things. I have kitted up a whole bunch of Halloween smalls and randomness from magazines. What I did is I went through all of my Halloween Just Cross Stitch magazines, October Just Cross Stitch magazines, Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, and made a list of all of the things that I wanted to stitch from them possibly ever, and then picked like 10 of them that I was going to start putting together. And so the three that I'd like to start, or the 2 that I'd like to start this month, are this one. This is a new project bag that I just made. And my sewing spree is from, I should have done a better job of prepping for this, but this is Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher from last year. Actually, I'm going to put a picture in. This is Samhain Dreams by Barbara Anna. I actually wanted to start this last October, and it just didn't happen. So it's now kitted up and ready to go. And I think the only change that I think I'm going to make is I'm going to add some purple in. Instead of just stitching it all in those beautiful oranges. I just feel like every Halloween piece needs a little purple somewhere. So I'm going to do that. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll stitch it as is. The only thing I think that the flowers are variegated, and I don't have that. And so I'm just going to make it up. So that's one plan. I'd like to start this piece from this year's issue of Just Cross Stitch. It's called As the Raven Flies, and I believe it's Patty Brake, who is Four Boys and an Unknown Girl. Is that Patty Brake? Is that right? Hopefully that's right. If that's not right, I will correct myself, but I'm pretty sure that is her design company. And I have that kitted up somewhere, I thought. Maybe not. Apologies for the randomness or the procrastination here, but I swear I pulled fabric for that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Hopefully, if I do start it, you'll see it on my next Flosstube or the one after that. But that's my prep. I also am going to stitch. Last year, Maximum Cross Stitch Ellen released a freebie. I think is available on the Evertotes website. I think that's where I got it from. It's called Fall is Greater. I think I'm going to start that as well. I have that in my pile of new starts, and I have it kitted up with some Roxy floss and the rest of my Panettone linen from the 2022 countdown sale. So I also have that ready. So I think those are my new starts that I have planned. There will probably be more, or I might sub those out with something else I have kitted if I feel so inclined. Yeah, I think that's enough for the next month. The last thing I want to talk about before I wrap up this episode is just to mention a few of the floss tubes that I've been enjoying lately. The best thing so far about floss tubing or starting this channel is finding floss tubers that I didn't know existed. Plenty of folks who've been doing this for years, and I've never was once suggested their channel or knew that they existed, and some new folks as well. One of them is Tara from Wild Woman Crafts. Really like their floss tube. They stitch more modern patterns, which I also enjoy. I know it seems like all I stitch is Halloween. It's not necessarily true, but it has been lately. 'Tis the season. And I'm also not a reproduction sampler or big house stitcher, so it's nice to see someone else floss tubes out there like that who also aren't stitching Hades or Mirabilias, which I also don't necessarily stitch a ton of. I like to see them; they're very pretty, but I'm not my rodeo, not my clowns, as they say. They also recently started talking about video games, and so I play a few. My partner's a huge gamer, and so I am like tangentially related or know enough about gaming, so it's nice to hear someone chat about those things. Not that I don't love the book talk, because I actually have that many floss tubers do. I have read some of those books now. I read Fourth Wing. I binged it. I got the audiobook and binged it in like 3 days. So definitely susceptible to not only the enabling to buy the cross stitch, but also the other things that folks talk about on the channel. Ali Z is crafty, also super fun floss tube. They're the Owl Forest Friday hashtag, and so I'm excited to see them stitch their 100 owls, because that is still my favorite cross stitch thing I've ever made. Who else have I watched? Stephanie from Frala Knits. Even though her channel is called Frala Knits, she cross stitches and quilts as well. She's got some really cute patterns that she's been working on, and some really nice. She made a really pretty Ruby Star Society fabric quilt that she showed in, I think, maybe the first episode. I don't remember now. But she only has 3 episodes, so they're easily bingeable, and she's lovely to listen to. So those folks are 3 that come to mind that stuck out for me in the last week or so of floss tubes. So with that, I am going to say goodbye. I'm still working on how to get off of half of these episodes without babbling, which is what I'm doing now. I will work on that for next time. So hope y'all have a great rest of your day, week, month, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.